Welcome to another episode of Just Talk of Game. I'm here, my sidekick is here, and so is our guest. Now let's get started. Who do we have today?
Today we have LuvUrSkin Australian entrepreneur Izzi Dymalovski.
Looking forward to hearing all about how she came up with an idea for a skincare line.
Absolutely, but before we get started with Izzi, let's give a shout out to our sponsors, Fade Life Clothing and BCK Online.
Fade Life Clothing is a unique clothing line out of Atlanta, Georgia, geared towards those who love intoxicating style.
And BCK Online is a digital online magazine that keeps you in the know and up to date on the lives of young entrepreneurs, entertainers, rising stars, parents, and much more.
And also, this season of Just Talk of Gabe has a new original outro music made just for our show by Edwards. Check him out on Instagram at Edwards999. Alright, go grab your snacks, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Izzi, welcome to the show. We are glad you can join us for an episode of Just Talk with Gabe.
Amazing. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being on. I know our listeners want us to dive right in, so let's get into it.
Easy.
All right. So you are a teenage entrepreneur. Tell us about your company.
So my company is called LuvUrSkin, and it's an all-natural Australian-made company. So when I originally started it, though, it wasn't really intended to be a company. So I did a lot of dance concerts growing up and stuff like that, and I didn't really have much to take my makeup off with. So I got to around the age of 8, and I went towards some of my mum's adult skincare products, and she was like, "Nah, these are way too harsh for your skin. Use baby products." And I was like, "But I'm not a baby. I don't want to use baby products." So after a bit of an argument with her, she was like, "Fine, just go do your own thing." And so I kind of started it more as a hobby first. So I went to some formulators. I figured out some different bases for the basic face wash, moisturizer, stuff like that. And one day I was trying to figure out whether to do a milk base or a gel base for the face wash. So I was like, I want to group this at school. So I brought it into school, and they were like, "Oh, wow, this is really cool and good. Where can we buy this from?" And I'm like, "Oh, well, you can't really. It's just a bit of a side hobby." And then I went home and I was like, wait, this could actually be a business.
Wow.
So that's kind of how LuvUrSkin really started as a business. Just a bit of a fluke, in all honesty.
That's cool.
Yeah, that is. Why was it important for you to develop products geared strictly towards teenagers?
I think it's a really important thing because tweens and teens, they have so much influence in buying potential and buying power. But the thing is, no one really, until quite recently, let's be honest, tapped into them properly. So having a product that's geared towards tween and teen skin to make sure it sets them up on the right path for life, because skin is your biggest organ. You have to look after it. You're stuck with it for your whole life. Right, so I think it's honestly really important because it's just good to get into healthy and happy routines to make sure you're looking after yourself, you're looking after your skin, and in a way, and with products that are actually geared towards young and sensitive skin.
Yeah, that's really important.
That's true. That's really important. Now, I know many people, Izzi, may not know this, but when you began your entrepreneurial journey, you were on Shark Tank Australia. So how was that experience?
Yeah.
That experience was a little bit ridiculous. So it really was, though. So I started LuvUrSkin when I was 8. I started the idea, and then I officially started it as a company idea when I was 9. And when I was 12, Shark Tank, the first season in Australia, premiered. And I was like, oh yeah, this is cool. And then the year went on, whatever, I got to about 13, and one of our friends called us up and they're like, "Hey, Shark Tank season 2 applications are out. You should apply. By the way, applications technically closed 3 weeks ago, but just give it a shot anyway." So we filled out the application form. We were like, oh, good. And then a day later, we got an email from the producers saying, "Hey, we're at the end of our Skype rounds. Can we sneak you in here?" But obviously, your mum has to be on the phone because you're a minor. And I'm like, yeah, sure. So my mum picked me up from school in the middle of we have this homeroom period in the middle of the day. So she picked me up then, and we quickly went home and did the Skype call with producers and went back to school. About 2 days later, I was on the bus home from school sport, and I got a text from my mum saying, "They want you on Shark Tank." And I'm like, what?
What?
Wow.
Yeah, I know, right? And I said it to one of my friends, and one of the guys on the bus behind me was like, "Why are you going on Shark Tank? You don't do anything." Because I kind kind of kept like my business and my school life like fairly separate at that point. It was a bit harder once every second ad on Channel 10 was my face, but that's a different story. And I was like, don't worry, you'll see. And so, obviously being a reality show that has a large amount of different outcomes, we had to go through psychological tests and all that stuff, and then made it through there.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So then it got to about November of 2015. Yep. And it was a Thursday. We flew up on a Thursday, filmed Friday morning, and then back home Friday night. So the only thing they tell you to prepare going in there is a 2-minute pitch. Otherwise, the rest of it is completely on the spot. And it was just, yeah, it was weird. Like, obviously, we sent them stuff to, like, set up a little stand and whatever within the actual tank. But so we got there at about 7 in the morning, had to do another psych test, had to fill out some forms and whatever. And they sat me and my parents down, and they're like, okay, because do you feel comfortable going in there on your own? And I'm like, yeah, let's go. And they're like, okay, before we do that, we're going to have your parents on standby just in case anything happens, you feel like you're going to crack under the pressure, whatever, they're going to be there. And you just let us know if you need them. I'm like, all good, don't worry. So a usual Shark Tank pitch in Australia, I've heard different things from America because I've actually met with one of your sharks before. I think his name was Damon.
Okay.
Yeah, he came to Victoria and I was invited to a lunch with him, which was really lovely. He was talking about how sometimes pitches go for like up to 2.5 hours, whatever. But in Australia, they really anywhere between a half hour to an hour and a half.
Wow.
And I ended up being in there for like an hour by myself.
Oh my gosh. Your mom was just like freaking
They
out.
were, because they didn't let them see any of the screens, listen to any of the audios or anything. Like, some of the producers gave them like a sneaky little peek at like one of the screens at the start, but other than that, they were completely in the dark for an hour until the sharks were like, are your parents here? And they brought them in at the end. So it was a really crazy experience. So that was November of 2015. Then it aired July of 2016.
Okay.
Which was, it was crazy. And then within that time, LuvUrSkin, so that was July. In April, we'd officially launched in Priceline, which is like Australia's biggest like pharmacy beauty retailer, which was really cool because that was after like 2 years of working there. So it was April that, June, end of June, July was Shark Tank, which was really crazy because that was on like a Wednesday night. I had some like family over and we were like, woo, it happened. And the next morning I had like half the school had watched it and I had year 12 business students coming up to me shaking my hand and I'm like, what is happening? And yeah, I know, right?
Celebrity.
Yeah.
It was weird. And then the month or end of July, LuvUrSkin officially launched as a brand, which was amazing. And there's also a funny story there, which I'll go into because why not? We're on a good story roll.
Absolutely.
So the day before, we had like sent some fillers out to the media and whatever. No one had really gotten back. We had like some contacts at SBS, which is like an Australian media company, and they were potentially coming. And then we had this little press release go out in like a small local newspaper. This was also around the time where we had a big election going on. So the news was basically on standby. They just wanted like some stories to like fill in the day or whatever. So there wasn't really much going on. At 5 a.m. the morning of the launch, because my mum's number was associated on it, she gets calls from like the Today Show, Channel 9, Channel 7, Channel 10, like literally every single big news station in Australia. They're like, hey, we're going to come down. Is that all good? And we're like, yep, that's great. So it was turned into what started as like a little like, woohoo, we did this, turned into this massive media event. And it was crazy. It was ridiculous. And I was literally on every single big news station on the TV like all night, which was weird. And then we have these two big breakfast news shows in Australia, Today Show and Sunrise. So we got a call at about 4 p.m. from Sunrise. They're like, hey, we want you on tomorrow morning. We can't confirm anything yet. They're like, we'll let you know. I'm like, cool. 15 minutes later, we get a call from the Today Show and we're like, you're going on tomorrow morning. Have you gotten a call from anyone else? And we're like, yeah, Sunrise. And they're like, no, if they call you back, don't pick up. So I was on the Today Show the next morning as well. So that whole few months in 2016, from like April from Shark Tank to the launch was just, it was insane. I look back at it and it just looks surreal. That's the only way I can describe it. It was amazing.
That's a fun ride.
That is. Okay, so originally your products were geared towards girls, but now you've opened the market to include boys too. So what made you want to expand the line?
I have always wanted to include boys in this, always from the very beginning. But when Love Your Skin first started, there wasn't necessarily that much of a market. So I used to, when I first started, I used to go sell, like set up little stands at little singing competitions and stuff like that. And I used to have boys buy the products, and they were like, I wish you had some more packaging tailored to boys. I'm like, I know, I wish to. So there was a time period where I was working on developing a range exclusively for boys, but that just fell through. And then I was talking about some new packaging, and I was like, why don't we just make this gender neutral? Why don't we just finally do it? And
Yeah.
because it's just so important to make sure to allow there's a space for everyone to feel comfortable and confident in their own skin. So
Absolutely.
yeah, and oh, it's so cool to see the first tube come in. This is something like expanding the range to include boys, or even just like making this range like packaging now gender neutral is something I've been trying to do for so long. It was so amazing to see it come to fruition. It was really awesome. Yeah.
Oh, that's so good.
That
And now
is.
your packaging is open, all, ready. The new packaging is open for everyone to purchase it, and they can just go online, and it's all gender neutral.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah. So I have a question. Like, what is the hardest thing about being a young entrepreneur?
I think the hardest thing about being a young entrepreneur is honestly, it's a lot of things you can't control. Mainly, it's your age. Because, for example, when I first went into meetings when I was younger, I would obviously have to bring my mum along, and they would all
Right.
direct all the questions at her and stuff like that. And they wouldn't really give me the time of day until my mum was like, no, she's running this, let her talk. And so, as someone who was really shy and introverted, I still have my moments, but I was way worse back then. It was really difficult for me to get up in front of a room of adults and sell my brand and talk, and even just talk in front of them. But it's honestly, that ability has helped me so much in life. Just the ability to learn how to public speak and to talk in front of a crowd and to stand up for myself. It's honestly one of the most rewarding things ever. Also, when it comes to being a young entrepreneur, school's obviously a bit of an issue. So I started at a young enough age where I learnt to juggle it very well, because I obviously didn't have much school at the age of 8, like homework. So
right.
it kind of just like, okay, I've mastered, it's like you've got juggling balls. Like, okay, I've mastered 2, let's add on 3. Okay, let's add on 4, 5, 6, a chainsaw, kitchen sink, so on. So yeah, time management was definitely a big one. But I've always been the type of person where if I have like 58 million things on my plate, it's not enough and I still need more.
Oh,
So
yeah. I know that.
yeah. COVID was definitely interesting during all that. Like, obviously not that much going on, but yeah, those are age and time management are probably the hardest things about being a young entrepreneur. But every challenge you face, you're always better off for it. So I'm very grateful for those challenges.
Now, out of all of, I guess, those challenges and growing up from 8 to now, what are some of the entrepreneurial tricks? Because I'm sure you've discovered, some things that you're like, hey, now that I've learned this, I'm a pro and I can share. So what have you discovered?
I honestly would never consider myself a pro at anything, but honestly, persistence and hard work. It sounds really basic, and I know when anyone asks me this question, they're probably expecting like, here's 3 steps to do this, blah, blah, blah. But no, honestly, it really comes down to the like basics, hard work and persistence. Because let's be honest, it takes like 10 years to become an overnight success.
That's true.
And
that is true.
You're going to get no's, you're going to get doors shut in your face, but every shut door takes you on the journey to the right door that'll open for you. So it's a lot of just knuckling down and persisting through when the times get tough, and just working hard, because it'll happen eventually.
Exactly. So, that's great advice.
Thank you.
That is. What has been the most rewarding moment in this journey for you as an owner of a business?
Honestly, most rewarding moment is just seeing the smile I'm able to put on people's faces when they're like, hey, I really enjoy your products. They've helped me clear up my skin. I'm feeling a lot better about my skin, whatever. Any little comments like that, they just really warm me up inside because I'm like, okay, it just helps reassure me that I'm doing something right and I'm actually helping people, which I love. I love making people feel better and feel better about themselves. So those little moments really just, they warm me inside. It's really nice.
Oh, that's pretty.
Yeah,
that's really sweet.
Yeah.
Now, are there any like business related books or, kind of maybe TED Talks or something that you can recommend to listeners that have actually helped you?
Here's my issue. I read a lot of non-fiction books. So I've not necessarily read a lot of business books in my time, but I've read a lot of biographies and autobiographies about celebrities who, in my eyes, like actors and stuff like that, I believe are entrepreneurs for their own brand, which is something I take into perspective when I read those books. So one that I really love, which I'm not sure I would necessarily recommend for younger ages because it's also quite a big book. It's called Hello Gorgeous. It's the story of Barbra Streisand. And it goes through her entire life, how she started in like a poor little den in like, you'll see Brooklyn or New Jersey or a small little area in New York and just hustled her way up and built her own brand. And it's just a really fascinating read. It's a really good one. Yeah.
Oh,
she's the best.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, on that note, we're going to go on commercial break.
Okay. Well, would you stay back with us, Izzy, for the
Yeah, of course.
All right, cool. We'll be right back then.
We'll be right back, guys.
Welcome back to the show, everyone.
Welcome back, guys. And if you have not downloaded the Anchor.fm app,
do
it and start making your own podcast today.
All right, Izzy, welcome back.
Thank you for having me back.
Okay, here comes the next round of questions.
These are the fun round of questions. I like the fun round.
All right. What is your favorite city and why?
Too many. So I love Melbourne, which is where I'm from, but I really love New York because I love Broadway and I love musicals. But a city I've always wanted to visit is Barcelona or just Spain in general. I know Spain isn't a city, but just anywhere, in Spain. Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
That would be.
Road trip.
Speaking of road trips, if you were on a road trip and stopped at a gas station, what 3 items would you pick up?
Honestly, it's always food because we do a lot of like once a year we do a big road trip to Sydney, which is like 9 hours. And it's always in the middle of summer. So it's always an icy pole, like a packet of chips, usually Twisties, which is like our version of Cheetos, and some chocolate.
Okay. That sounds like a good.
Yep.
I know, right?
Yep.
Okay. So in one word, how would you describe your generation?
Honestly, inspiring. I think we've got some really cool people coming up in this generation that are going to do some really good things in the world. And I'm very excited to see what happens.
That's true.
It's true. What is the craziest or most daring thing you've ever done?
Oh, so that's the issue. I don't really do much daring things. Craziest and daring thing I've ever done. Honestly, going on Shark Tank was pretty crazy. But, yeah,
that was.
But I got to do a show in January of 2019 because I like doing musicals in my spare time and whatever. And I got to fly in that. That was pretty cool. That was very cool. Yeah.
Oh,
wow.
That sounds fun.
Yeah. What is the first thing people notice?
A lot of people notice my dimples. I have 2 really massive dimples on the sides of my cheeks. Yeah, either that or my glasses. I always get comments on my glasses. Yeah.
That's cool.
That is. What is the one movie you can watch over and over without getting tired of watching?
Okay, I've got 3 really, really random choices here. But Mamma Mia, Enchanted, and Good Will Hunting.
Okay.
Those
are all 3 really good ones.
Yeah, like Good Will Hunting is like the first movie I ever like downloaded, like bought on my laptop. I just love that movie. And Enchanted, something I always watched growing up. And I think Mamma Mia we just watch like once a month.
That's a good one.
That is. Okay. So if you could take 5 things to a desert island, what would they be?
Can I use like a library as an answer? No. I'd probably bring a book. keyboard, my laptop, just because I've got so much sheet music on there, and if I've got a keyboard and I'm bored,
Yeah.
Right.
What else? My brother. He's pretty fun. And
Okay.
I'd probably bring a bed.
Oh, there you
There
go.
we go.
Now, that's not a bad one.
Yeah,
That's
it
a
is.
pretty good one.
That is it.
Now, what do you wish grew on trees? If there's anything that you could like go out in your front yard and pick off in a tree, what would it be?
Well, I know technically like cacao beans grow on trees, so technically chocolate's already an answer. But probably chocolate.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah,
That's good.
that's a
Like,
good
that's
one.
a really good
Yeah,
one.
the chocolate tree is perfect. Okay. What is the one app on your phone that you have but never use?
Ooh, the one app on my phone that I have but never use. I'd really love to say it's something like Instagram, but it's not. It's probably some sort of like random game I downloaded ages ago and just haven't used in a while. I'll go with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you could be friends with anyone in the world, who would you be friends with?
If I could be friends with anyone in the world. I don't know why. Whenever anyone asks me this, Anne Hathaway always comes to mind. She just seems kind of cool. Or like,
Oh,
yeah.
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 Or
I'd
Mila
like to do
Kunis.
that.
I've seen some
Uh-huh.
really, because my background's Macedonian, so I speak it, and I've seen some interviews of like her speaking Russian with reporters and stuff like that. And I'm just like, she's just really funny, and I'm like, she just seems like a fun person to hang out with. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Totally.
totally. What is the one piece of advice you would give to entrepreneurs?
Keep going. Like if you have an idea, and it's better to look when you're in the future, look back and regret something you did than something you didn't. So if you got an idea,
That's true.
That's true.
just roll with it and just see what happens, because you never know where it could take you.
I like that.
That's true.
Yeah, I like that.
I like that. So in addition to all that you have going on, what's next for you?
Honestly, 2021 taught me that 2020 taught me that life is really unpredictable, and you can't
That's
necessarily
true.
plan too much ahead, because those plans can get destroyed very quickly. So we
Absolutely.
have a few things in the works, but just taking everything as they come day by day and just seeing what happens.
Yeah, it's cool.
That
Yeah.
sounds good.
What is the one thing that you want people to know about you?
I really like this. Okay, this is really random. If you ever meet me in person, I'm really awkward when first getting to know people. So when I'm in like a room and I'm like meeting people for the first time, I will usually just sit back and like people watch. Try to figure out my surroundings.
So
Like, I know it
Yeah,
sounds
it is.
so weird, but like
It
people
is fun.
sometimes think like, oh, she doesn't want to talk to people. No, I just get really nervous meeting people. Like I read an article about Zendaya saying something like that, how people thought she was standoffish or whatever. But she was like, no, I'm just like fairly introverted, and I just get nervous meeting new people. I'm like, oh my God, I get that. I feel you. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I totally like to people watch. So if we ever do come to Australia and meet you in
100%.
person, we can go to
100%. I'm down for that.
Yes. Where can people find you on social
So
media?
you can find Love Your Skin on social media. You can find us on Facebook, which is Love Your Skin, and then Instagram at LUV_your_skin. Your spelled UR. Yeah.
All right. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Good.
We've enjoyed you.
We have truly enjoyed you. Thank you so much. And guys, make sure you log on to the internet and find Love Your Skin and go buy some
Amazing.
products.
Thank you for having me. Bye.
Bye.
We are so thankful that Izzy joined us all the way from Australia. Hope you guys enjoyed our interview. Check out Love Your Skin online. And until next time, peace out.